Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the great Mike Skill. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for having me on
Thanks
Ghost
for
Call.
yeah,
Ghost Call.
thanks for being here. We premiered your new song, "Soul So Alone," which is incredible,
Great.
honestly. And I've been a big fan. People will know you from the Romantics, but you have many lives in the music business. You've been writing music and making music for a long, long time, not just as a skilled member of a famous band, but yourself. And before we get too deep in the weeds, there's so much cool stuff to unpack. You have a new solo album coming out that I'm really excited to hear all about. But it's been just such a very tough time in the world, not just for professional musicians and music industry people like myself on the periphery, but obviously everybody, the whole human race. We've been going through a trial. So just generally speaking, before we start, because you can get into the weeds about this stuff, but I hope you're well, your family, your collaborators, your
Thank you.
peers. I hope everybody's in one piece and okay as we
Thank
start
you.
to see
Yeah.
the end here.
We've been lucky. We've been, we did good with ourselves, staying amongst ourselves in the tough times, and so we aren't spreading anything. If we had anything, which we don't know, but we've done everything we're supposed to do, and we're good. Yep, we're good right now. So see how it goes see it from here on out. So I've got,
Right.
I've had I've been writing for a long time, with the band, but outside the band, I started. We weren't doing too much studio work. Romantics were always on the road. The band was always on the road from 1980s till last year. Till last year, we were always a full schedule in the summer, in early fall and spring, and we'd be off for a few months in the winter, and then we'd go back out. But at that time, because we weren't going to the studio at the time, so busy on the road, I was accumulating a lot of song ideas and stuff, and just stuff. What if this was? What if that? What if I did this on my own down the road or something? Stuff that, when you write something, sometimes you go, just, I don't know, this is not really for me. This is for someone else. Someone else. So this is stuff that really I felt like was for me. And when the COVID came in, I had this stuff all recorded over the last few years, and it was kind of like bits and pieces from all over the place, and it was mixed and unmastered. And I met Chuck Occasion in Detroit from Pearl Sound, and he's really well a highly regarded producer. Chris Cornell and Madonna singles, remixes, and all through the industry. Tool, and he's a hard rocker, and he's a melodic guy, and he does a lot of commercial work in Detroit, and with his partner Patrick. I met him, and he said, "Send me some stuff," and I sent the stuff, and he took it to the next level, like 3 times higher the level that I was at, and to put a number on it. But yeah, and it came out like, wow, this is really good. Let's start. He turned me on to someone to help me, Gina and Jordy, to show me how to get it on the internet and do what I'm doing today, and Beatrice, and we just start putting it out there last year, and next thing you know, and I've got 6 songs. So Alone. It's kind of a Memphis guitar groove part, and it's kind of a Lou Reed-ish singing part, or not that far from Nick Cave, kind of quieter but real. I don't want to say surreal or erotic, but somewhere in there. It's just kind of passionate, and it's got a good bass groove, and I don't know, one of those things I wrote in 20 minutes, probably 20 minutes over a few days. A minute here, a minute there, and you know what I mean. So So Alone. Yeah, it's taken off, and it's doing really well so far. So, and the other 5 songs, I don't know if you want me to go into that. The other songs I did last year. First one was Wayne Kramer. I contacted Wayne Kramer through Chuck kept telling me, call him. And I was, Wayne Kramer's a guitar player for the MC5 with Fred Smith from the MC5. And they were like my guitar teachers when I was 15, 16 years old. They, not literally teachers, but listening to the records and me learning off the records. They would do one part, and then they would match it with the other guitar. And the other part, it was almost like Allman Brothers in a high energy rock and roll band. They would actually compose their parts, so they worked together, and not, I guess, a melodic way, but more of a raw attack. Those guys just attack the guitars, attack the Marshalls, turn them all the way up. But I don't know what I was getting at, but that stuff I listened to. Oh, Wayne Kramer. Wayne Kramer came in. I called him, and he said, "Send me the song." And it was '67 Riot. I had released it on its own, and then I thought, man, it'd be great to get Wayne on this, but I was kind of reluctant and scared and nervous and that kind of all that kind of stuff. And he said, "Send the song." I sent the song, and he loved the song, and he threw his guitar on it. So that I released that on an independent single last year. On a label, the label was A Square. It was a famous label in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with all the bands. SRC, Bob Seger had stuff on it. Early Bob Seger. There's a number of groups, but Iggy wasn't on it. But anyway, this label was a really kind of an iconic late '60s label, mid and late '60s label. So I took the label. I took the actual Gary Grimshaw artwork. Gary Grimshaw was a guy like Mouse out of San Francisco, a really psychedelic kind of art guy, doing the posters for all the ballrooms. So I took that artwork and I put my name and Wayne's name in it, and it's like a reclamation of that whole era on the look of it. So and I copied kind of the cover and the back sleeve of the MC5's "Looking at You" single. I kind of like, kind of was influenced by wanted to have that look. And it came out last year, and still got a few left. I've got it's really cool putting out a vinyl like that. It just bounces off the vinyl. The sound is so cool.
Amazing look into your process there. Thanks for sharing all that. Great stuff. Wayne, of course, is a legend, and I'm really glad you mentioned these kind of, obviously you are a product of that music scene, which is so vibrant. I think a lot of the country doesn't really appreciate how important Detroit was back in the day with Cream magazine and Iggy and Stooges and MC5 and Seeger and Cooper.
Seeger, Grand Funk,
right? Mitchell, all these in super important bands. Even last year, there was a couple, like a year ago, there was a punk documentary, and it was more about punk, and it kind of gravitated to the punk scenes. But Iggy talked on and on about the influence of just rock and roll and rock guitar, and this gritty Midwestern style that really defined rock and roll for the next 50 years, including into today. You still hear it.
Well, yeah, the lineage actually does come from like Little Richard, the raw Little Richard, man. He was freaking people out when he came out with his hair and his look and everything, and screaming, and tutti frutti, good booty, that from that lineage just goes right up through Elvis, Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was the antithesis of Elvis. He was like the new wave version of Elvis with his big glasses and his dorky little sweater and it goes right up through there and right up through into Motown came out in Detroit, where I was like 10 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old. And you're hearing Shop Around was one of the first singles with Smokey Robinson I heard. And a few singles after that, I'm starting hearing this music coming out of Motown. And it felt like there was like a pride, like it was our club. It was like our club. Motown was our club. Wow. Motown Records down the street, downtown. West Grand Boulevard. And we had this radio station across the river in Canada, Windsor, Canada. It's right across the river. And it was like a 50,000 watt AM station, just like Z1, whatever it was, Z something down in California, across the border in Mexico. We had in Canada, they were playing from James Brown, I Feel Good, all that stuff. James Brown, all the black artists that were coming out, Aretha, everything that was coming out. They were playing that, but then they're playing Bob Seger. They're playing early Bob Seger, heavy music, even Ted Nugent, Journey to the Center of the Mind, all these 45s, all the stuff that was coming out of England, especially the Animals, the Kinks, Dave Clark 5, Stones, Beatles. And the station was it was through Canada, all through Canada. It would do all the Great Lakes. You go from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Wisconsin, down to Chicago, all the way down Indiana, Ohio, all that whole area. The station on and late at night, if the clouds were right or if the weather was right, I heard you could hear it down in Tennessee and as far as sometimes Florida. So it was our classroom. It's kind of our classroom. 45 people don't realize, people of this generation now don't realize how AM radio set up for what comes after Um, if you were a writer, I can imagine being a writer, or I can imagine, but it'd be difficult writer in the 60s when you had to write against Roy Orbison, the guys who wrote for Elvis, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles. I mean, Rick Nelson, all the writing was so high quality. I mean, you had to be on your right on your toes, and stuff coming out of Nashville as well. Detroit had a great country station as well at the time. So but it was a really good breeding ground coming up through it. Detroit had a lot of because of the factory workers. A lot of the factory workers were like, could have been musicians. They were working at night and working day and playing at night, and they're making cars 24 hours a day. I mean, up until the 70s. And so it was a gritty, sometimes stinky and sometimes smoky, dirty place, but you worked your butt off. You worked your hard, you did those 8 hours in the factory. I worked in a shop. There were thousands of shops around the country that made little parts. They would make the little rubber cushions for the screws that would hold on a part on the car, or the chrome. I worked at a place, we chromed the luggage racks on top of like the old Ford station wagons, those chrome luggage racks, the pieces. They'd make them, they'd come to us, they'd buff them, and then they put them on racks. And the ladies, all the Polish ladies would load the racks up. It was near Hamtramck, was a Polish town, Polish area. And it would go on the racks, go around, and they'd go through the chrome process, and we'd pull them off. That's one of the jobs. And dirty, stinky, smelly in the summer. And I'm saving up to buy guitars and amps. So that's the way it was. And it was just a really working man's town and a big union town.
Right on. When you have sort of that working class ethic, that definitely pays off in the music making and the music writing. And Romantics came from that scene, of course. And, I know that people know the big hits, and I love those hits too. But like people don't remember that the records are full of jams and there's no weak songs. You guys were masters at your craft, you helping, of course, leading the charge. And really, I'd urge people to go back and listen to these records, because music is not made this well anymore. Like really, I'm fond of saying even the one-hit wonders of the 80s, the production, the writing, the care that was given, even the choices melodically, a lot of pop music, and I love a lot of pop music. I'm like a heavy metal guy, but I love pop music. Just a good song is a good song. The great song is a great song to me.
Yeah.
A lot of, melodically and vocally, since you were talking about vocals earlier, a lot of singers just kind of root 4/5 octave, nothing else. And occasionally a 2, occasionally some diminished or augmented note, but not really. So, if you go back in time and if you're looking for inspiration as a fan or a writer, go back and listen to your 70s and 60s rock and really get an education.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't, you wouldn't have the Ramones, and you wouldn't have all the newer, the Clash and all that without any of that stuff. I mean, they were influenced by Motown as well. And the Five really was, there's a lot of turmoil that's coming up in the 60s, and a lot of civil unrest and everything. And, Detroit was a huge union town, so they grabbed onto that. And also the counterculture. When that happened, that was brewing in Ann Arbor, which is University of Michigan and all that. And you had the White Panther Party, was part of the MC5, John Sinclair, whose birthday is coming up in October, I think, where there's might be something going on for that. Pop music is kind of a misnomer, because it means popular with the masses. And then it turned into pop as in the Archies or something, or something real lightweight. But it's more than that. It's really popular music that the masses pick up on, and it's got a certain Whitesnake's got is basically pop hit singles, popular hit singles. So right. It runs the gamut. I mean, but I mean, I remember I don't know how much you want me to get into this. Is it I can go on? The Yardbirds come over, and you have the Yardbirds with Jimmy Page, okay? And after Clapton left and Jeff Beck came in and Jimmy Page, they're playing this little club in Ann Arbor, the Fifth Dimension, okay? They're playing those shows. A teen club, Hendrix played there. And next thing you know, the ballroom's starting up. You had the Grandy Ballroom. So then you had this group come out, the MC5. They came from a lot of the groups in Detroit were like soul bands in the 50s. It was like soul and show groups, like lounge groups. They would do kind of, if you think of Tom Jonesy kind of show, but it was uh, soul music, a lot of James Brown and Otis Redding. And then the guitar thing started happening. So you had this, early, well, God, it started with Elvis, but then the Beatles really kicked it off. The guitar thing, everybody had to have a guitar. Then it switched over. It's kind of switched over to the rock and roll thing, the straight rock and roll soul, and bands started. The MC5 were one of those cover bands. They played soul music, and they just started going. The Them came out. Van Morrison, Them, and the Yardbirds, and the Who. And I think the Five kind of took the Van Morrison, Them, with the Yardbirds and the Who, the wildness of the Who, and amalgamated that and put that all in one. Because then it was all feedback and noise, and then this kind of a soul show. They had a show. It was like they were doing moves all together, and you have to see it. You have to go on and look at it. But the MC5 on YouTube. But this whole thing in Detroit, just this high energy rock and roll happened. And it was a lot to do with the Grandy Ballroom opening up. Yardbirds coming in, played the open with the MC5, open for the Yardbirds, and the MC5 had their groove. And I think you wouldn't have had Led Zeppelin without the Yardbirds seeing the MC5 and being in Detroit in a lot of ways. Because when you hear Communication Breakdown, that just reminds me of a song that could have been written by the Five or coming out of Detroit. That album was like huge in Detroit, the first Led Zeppelin album, because it's just like the next generation. And that's still rock and roll. Those aren't like really dirty guitars. If you're a guitar player, you listen to Led Zeppelin, the early Led Zeppelin, it's attack. The guitars have got a lot of attack to it, but it's not like now. It's not like the thrash and the deep metal stuff, the dark metal and deep metal, which is just another extension of all that.
Nice. I'm always so amazed that Jimmy Page didn't use any distortion. It's all straight through the head with like.
No, that's Detroit. Detroit guitar players were the same way. They just turn the Marshall up and that's it. No pedals at all.
Yeah.
And I still do that. I still do that. And I did that for the Romantics.
Yep.
It's just getting the right amp, the right guitar and turning it up, really. Yeah. I did tours. We're touring with Rick Springfield, and we're touring with Cheap Trick in last few years. And they've got a lot of shows now, the amps are, they turn them down and they've got the distortion in. It's like an attenuator, like those attenuators they used to have, where it grabs the sound and it dirties the sound up at a lower level. So you don't have to turn up on stage. And then I'm coming out doing sound check and my amps are turned on. I was using Voxes, 2 Voxes, and I turn them up with 6 or 7, right? That's pretty loud for Vox. It's a sweet spot. And two of them. So I'm getting a full tone. And they're wondering, how are you getting that sound? And it's just, that's what it was. You got to push air with that sound. It's, so I get a lot of compliments on the guitar tone, but
nice.
That has a lot to do with it, just really turning it up.
It's scientific.
Yeah.
Sound waves.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. And I have actually just kind of like one last romantic centric question, since you
that's all right. You
sort of touched on it. Was the band or you yourself just surprised at how big those hit songs got? Because it's got to be kind of amazing to be kind of like a pretty successful rock band and then have humongous hit songs all over the nation. I got to be honest,
we didn't really think, we weren't thinking like that. We're thinking we're climbing the mountain all the time. Where we want to get to the top, and we never thought we made it to the top. So you're always got the drive and the energy and your guts always producing that excitement in you for doing it, and it keeps you going, keeps you doing. You haven't reached the prize yet, even though you've gotten. Obviously, you're on Dick Clark, American Bandstand. You're on Soul Train. We were on Soul Train. Solid Gold, run Solid Gold, and then it just dawned on me. What was I doing? I was watching something was on, and it was showing how MTV started. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it showed the beginning of it, and I'm thinking, it kind of dawned on me the other day, going, we were seen by a lot of people on MTV. I mean, and I haven't thought about it like that. I never thought about it really like that. there was a large audience seeing us. It was really, and that could get, I feel like it could get in the way of what I do if my mind's on that stuff. I don't really need to, I don't dwell on the immense attention we got, or the band worked so hard and still does. And we never had the big Billboard magazine, the full page ad, $1 million page ad. We never had that kind of stuff in a lot of, we were on independent label of an independent label of an independent label of a major, and Emperor Records, Epic Portrait, which is Columbia. So we were an independent band pretty much, and we just hit the road and kept, our nose to the grindstone, really just kicking ass on the road. And that really, I think that kept the realism of it, the honesty of it all the time. And, always climbing the mountain. And I feel the same way still. I mean, it's a gut thing. I go and play the guitar, and last night I'm in the studio here, and my son was running the board. And when I got guitar checks, I'm doing 3 or 4. I go, let's go back and do it. It's got to feel right. It's got to be coming out right. It's you don't stop drop. You don't stop till you drop. So yeah, and it's the same thing from all the way through with every band. I think when you're really being real with yourself, that's when the good stuff comes out. And it's kind of, things are kind of they're kind of, I don't want to say mellow, stuff comes out now. It's just kind of like, it's like, it's not, I like stirring it up, no matter what it is. So anyway.
Where are the balls in today's music?
That's what I mean,
man.
It's beautiful seeing just solo singers, but there's so many solo singers now, and when I've grown up with Sam Cooke, and I've grown up with Aretha, and I've grown up Marvin Gaye and Elvis. I mean, and then I see a bunch of 4 or 5 singers that all sound alike. I mean, they're great singers, but they're really doing the same licks. And it's okay, but I like something that goes down down the other avenue, like Velvet Underground, and Velvet, the Velvets, and Nick Cave's got his own thing, and I love if I could seeing. It's just originality and attitude clash, own's attitude, and it doesn't have to be in your face. It can be in the music, and it's just really a beautiful thing. It's the truth. Nice. Like we were talking before we went on, and you need art, music, and dance, and all that stuff, all the way across the board. Society crumbles without art, without music. People to move the empathy forward, to move the soul of everything forward. The cultures coming together, and art coming together brings people together. You can't, I can't say it any better than that. It's to move forward as a new society.
Amen. I agree.
Yeah.
Couldn't put it better myself.
Yeah.
Like said. So now we have new singles. We have this great new music coming out. We have this full-length album coming out.
Yeah.
Obviously then the next chapter is whatever it brings you. Hopefully we can get our shows and festivals and summer.
Yeah, we're working on that. Looking at all that, and I mean, we just said, let's see if people want to know. First 67 Riot came out. Then it came out with Wayne Kramer from the Five. Then I released Dark Side of Your Love. Carrie Got Married, which was written by Brad Elvis, our drummer, Romantics drummer, his wife. They were coming to a show. They were coming to a show in Detroit. They driving from Chicago, and they started on the way back home. They started writing the song, and I recorded it with them, and it ended up it's going to be on the record. And it's a kind of Romantics had Carrie, Tell It to Carrie, and then this is Carrie Got Married, so it's kind of connected. And I've got another piece of it, so it's kind of a triumvirate or a triple thing, like a little opera thing. Carrie Got Married, Carrie with Tell It to Carrie, and I've got one more to do on that. And then My Business came out, and that did really well last year. And My Bad Pretty came out, and We Got Your Rock and Roll came out a month ago, and then So Soul Alone, and they're all available on MikeSkill.com. and all the outlets, all the streaming platforms.
Right on.
So, and vinyl comes out after, let's see, we're going to release the album July 16th, which is my birthday. I don't know how that happened, but we just said that's a good date. And then late summer, the album, vinyl album with extra songs probably on it.
Is it surprising to you that vinyl and cassettes as formats have made?
Yeah,
such
it's a
big
beautiful,
comeback?
yeah. I mean, I tell you, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that it was on its way back. I thought it was going down. But, you know, my son, he's 20 and he started picking up on the records I have. And I think that kids were picking up on they were rescuing their albums that were going out of their houses, their parents were getting rid of. So they're rescuing those, just like we rescued the hi-fi, the big hi-fi that was in thrown in the basement in the 60s. There was always a really long, had the record player, it might have had a bar in it, had speakers in it and place for records. We pull them up out of the basement so we could listen to FM radio back when FM radio came in, and headphones. Everyone had to listen on headphones to Sergeant Pepper. You know, it was a big thing. But yeah, kids were rescuing the records from in the last few years. So now it's record stores popping up everywhere. And here in Portland, I'm in Portland, Oregon. And yeah, there's tons of record stores. Music Millennium, that's Terry Courier. He's got, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And you've got
Portland's a great city and a great city for music.
Yeah, it's not unlike Detroit. It's kind of has the Ann Arbor feel. It's a big, you know, school, university area. So there's a lot of young people and new ideas and moving forward, try to be like that. Not unlike the West Coast. The West Coast was always like for new ideas. And you've got, what you call it? What's the record store down in LA that just moved? Can't think of it. Yeah, Amoeba, right.
San Francisco too.
Yeah.
Here. So, yeah, great stuff. I'm a big fan. I still buy records. I was thrilled to see records come back. I love album artwork and and lyrics, and I used to get the Kiss records with all the fun stuff in it. I was a huge Kiss fan, and Detroit helped make Kiss big. You know, we know that story. So,
oh yeah.
Kobo.
I mean, yeah, sure. I think they kind of remind me of a Detroit sound with a little bit of Grand Funk chutzpah in there, you know? Yeah.
Good word, chutzpah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Fun times, man. Anything else going on? How are you? You know, besides
making
music all the time, what's going on with life? How are you doing in life?
Pretty good. Yeah, my son works for a magazine. He's does some work for the parks here. He does that. So with my son, he's lives with us, and so far, and he's doing a lot of artwork. He's getting artwork, and he's a photographer and a graphic artist, and he's helping me in the studio. Comes in when I'm in a fix, and plugs in, turns on stuff, and tells me to do it over again, and tells me, no, we're done. Let's get out of here. And yeah, so it's family, a lot of family, and my wife's off the road. She used to be with the Tubes. She worked with the Tubes, and we just got a happy household and keeping healthy. And I've got a jam band here. Well, not a jam band. I've got a band that's more rootsy that I do something, have fun with here. We come in every week and just have fun. And I'm going to start throwing some of that stuff online. And I got Romantics, and I got my thing. And then I'm going to do something. I think I might do a country blues kind of thing, acoustic guitars and blues, and some friends, and just try to do a bunch of different things and still rock it up and still do some good rock and roll, you know, good players, get some good guests on records and that, and keep moving forward. And it's a pleasure meeting you and being able to get on Ghost Cult. And I really appreciate it, you know.
Thank you so much, man.
Keep moving forward.
It's been an honor to hear your story. One of the great songwriters of all time, Mike Skill.
Well, thank you very much.
Hanging out with Ghost Cult, man. Congrats on everything and the new record. We're going to link everything in the description of this video so people can buy your stuff and support you. And then after they buy it, if they want to stream it, that's cool. Yeah,
good luck in everything that you do, man. Stay healthy, and I'm sure we'll do more of these. I hope we can do more of these, and I'm always going to have more songs to put out. So I'll be seeing you again, Keith.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Can't get rid of me now.
I love it.